So this is what scratch art is. It's pretty much you create a rainbow layer with a bunch of different colors, and then you put like a black layer over it. And then what we're going to be doing, instead of using the paintbrush, we're actually going to use the eraser to create our particular art. Okay, we want to create the first canvas. Okay, so let's tap the plus sign. And the size canvas that we're going to use is a paper size canvas. It is 11 inches by 8.5 inches. Normally it will be landscape. So if you just take your 2 fingers and change it so that it is portrait. Now, the first layer that we're going to do is the rainbow layer. So we need about maybe 5 to 6 colors that we can use for this particular part. Now, you can choose whatever colors that you want. I like very bright, colorful ones, but if you do want to use a darker color, then feel free. Okay. All right. And the brush that we are using is if you go to the painting section, here, let me find it, the painting right in the middle. The icon for this particular brush is the paintbrush, and the round brush should be the one at the very top, especially if you have not added any brushes to that part, okay? And no, we're not using the airbrush. Go to the painting section and use the airbrush. And the first color that I am going to select is probably pink because it's my favorite color. So I have pink, and I want to make sure my opacity is turned up for my paintbrush. Okay. Now this doesn't have to be super neat because we are going to use a tool called Gaussian Blur, and I will show you exactly where it is, but we're going to use a tool to kind of blur it out. So again, it does not have to be perfect. Now with your round brush from the painting section, you want to have it pretty big, so about 30%. It really doesn't matter because the colors will overlap, but you know, you can play around with the size. So I'm going to start about a little bit over 30% here. I'm going to go up a little bit higher, maybe 70%. I'm just going to brush across here. Okay, now because the round brush is semi-transparent, if you don't press that hard, you won't get that dark of a color. So you want to press a little bit harder so it can be nice and opaque. All right, now the next color that I'm going to use, I want to create a teal. Now this is not necessary, but if you want to, you can create a palette so that you can have the colors for this particular project in one spot. So you just want to tap the plus sign, create a new palette, and then put your colors for this particular project there. Okay, so I have that pink there, and I'm going to go back and grab this teal color. And then I'm going to begin to paint over this. Now you want these to overlap. You don't want to have any white gaps. But the key is you want your colors to be nice and thick so that we don't see like any streaking. So I'm going to go over that again, and then my last color at the bottom will be purple. All right. And if you need to increase the size of your brush to cover more area, feel free to do that. Okay, so when you are done, your canvas should look just like this. You should have a pink, a blue, well, not a pink, a blue, but 5 to 6 different colors. Because the more colors, the more vibrant and pretty it is. And if you have a little bit smaller sections, you can cover multiple colors very easy. The next thing that we're going to do is we want to add in that black layer so that we can reveal all of those pretty colors that we just took all that time to put on here. Okay, so for this next part, we have to create a new layer. If you put your black layer on the same layer as your rainbow layer, then you will erase through both layers at one time and it defeats the purpose. So before we add that black layer, let's go to the adjustments tool. The adjustments tool is on the left and it looks like the little magic wand. I'm gonna tap mine so it turns blue. Okay, and Gaussian blur is 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth option, it's GAUSSIAN BLUR. All right, and let's see if okay, I didn't miss anything. Okay, now you can choose how much you want to blur yours. You don't want to blur it too much because the colors get really muddy, but just play around with it and see what looks good for you. And for Gaussian blur, you want to apply it to the layer and not the pencil. So let's tap layer. And I'm just going to begin to slide mine. And as you can see, it's just slightly blurring it. I'm gonna go a little bit further. I think that's good. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead and add that new layer. So let's tap the plus sign, go to the layers on the right. You can see mine is blue. Tap the plus sign, okay? Would be layer 2. And if you have, grab black. Now you don't necessarily have to use black, but you want to use a darker color so that when we reveal, you can see that contrast, okay? So like a very dark blue or maybe even a darker purple. And you just wanna make sure that it is not one of the exact colors that is on your rainbow layer. Okay, now from the color wheel on the right, you want to drag and drop that color onto that screen. You don't have to do much, you just have to drag it like that, and then it fills that particular screen for you, that particular layer. Now, again, we're not going to use the brush unless you want to draw particular details back onto the layer that we erased from. But once we begin that, I will actually show you. And you guys know in Procreate, you can set your smudge tool and your eraser to whatever you can set your paintbrush to. So in my opinion, the more texture the brushes, the better they look for this particular project. Now, before we start to erase, we want to make some duplicates of this so that we don't have to do this process over and over again. We already have spares. Okay. All right, so let's go to gallery. All right, and then let's go to select and let's select the one that we just created. You just want to drop the black. So once you go to, here, let me X out of this for just a second. Once you go create that new layer, if you see your black in your window in that circle, you just want to drag it onto the screen and it does it all for you. Okay, so the same way you would fill in a shape or just use that color dropper, you're just doing the entire layer. Go ahead and select. And let's tap on that particular one. Okay, and then let's hit duplicate. Now you want to make, I always make an extra. So now let's go back into just one of these. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be any specific one. Okay, now on that black layer that we just created, we want to set the symmetry tool on so that we can draw a particularly symmetrical object. It can be whatever you like. I just would like you to use the vertical symmetry tool, okay? So let's go ahead and go to actions. Actions looks like the little wrench is right next to gallery up top, okay? And then we want to go to canvas, which is the second option. Okay, and then after that, we want to turn on drawing guide. So we have crop and resize, animation assist, and drawing guide. So let's turn that on. And then let's go to edit drawing guide. Okay, now once we turn this on, we get a pretty big menu. So at the top, we have this rainbow line. And then at the bottom, we have 2D grid, we have isometric, perspective, and symmetry. You want to tap symmetry. And because we have a black canvas and a black guideline, we can't see it. So we need to use that rainbow line at the top just to change the color of the grid line. So I'm gonna slide mine over to the right, and it can just be any light color so that you can actually see where you are drawing to help you, okay? And then let's go to options, make sure that is set to vertical, and then assisted drawing. Once you do all of this, you want to tap done so that it'll set it, because otherwise it won't. Yeah, that was kind of funny. I thought that I muted for a second. Okay, let's tap done. Now we need to choose an eraser, okay? Now, again, I like the more textured erasers. The eraser that we're going to use is in the sketching section. So if you tap on your eraser and you go to sketching, okay? The type of brush that we're gonna use for this, excuse me, is the artist crayon. It should be at the very bottom, unless you have an older device and you will see Bonoball chalk as your last one, but artist crayon is right above that one, okay? So set it to artist crayon, okay? Now on this black layer, we are going to begin to create a design. And I'm gonna take my brush up, the eraser. I'm gonna take it up to maybe about 10%. Let's see what that looks like. That's a little bit too big. Let's go down to like maybe 4. Okay. All right, so again, I'm going to draw a butterfly with the head. Okay. Now, of course, the symmetry tool for this particular one with vertical, if you draw on the right side, it will make a copy on the left and vice versa. There are other types of symmetry tools. So I put mine to about a 4. If that doesn't look right for yours, feel free to draw the body. And as you see, I'm going down and it's revealing more and more colors. So if you kind of go over the canvas, you can reveal a little bit more. Now, the next thing that we're gonna do is draw the wings. Now for the wings, I'm going to lower my brush just a little bit more, maybe to about 3 or 2%. Okay, and then I am going to draw the top wing like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the antennas. And then I'm gonna use quick line just to kind of snap that into place. And then I'm gonna draw a little heart right here. All right, so now I'm going to actually draw a cute little face onto my butterfly. And I'm gonna use the inking studio pen. I'm just gonna zoom in so you guys can do this. And since the symmetry tool is still on, I only have to draw one eye, like that. Just wanna make sure that it's filled in. I'm gonna draw some eyelashes. And then a very simple smile. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna go to the luminance section, and I'm going to grab the light pen. I'm just gonna add like little glowy highlights to the eyes. Okay, so that is our first one.